fellow motion designers. Welcome back. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been diving deep into liquid UVs, and I've searched far and wide for finding the best UV liquid technique. I've tried the volume builder set to the vector mode, and I thought you could maybe generate some vectors on top of your liquid and then somehow turn it into UVs. It also worked, but it didn't really follow the liquid movements and it kind of looked a bit shitty. So after so many tries and so many techniques, I finally ended up with this pretty simple but really useful technique. So this technique uses a UV texture map and it gets put onto the particle color, and that way the particle has the color information when it flows, and you can afterwards take the color information back and make it into UVs. So that is what we're gonna do today. So without further ado, let's just jump into Cinema. All right, so here inside of Cinema, we are first of all gonna start by making some liquid. So let's make a disk. Let's set it to 32 in the rotation segment, so we get a little bit more detail. Then let's set the radius to something like 35. Awesome. Then let's pull it up a bit. Let's make a landscape so we have something that our particles can land on. Let's go and check this border at sea level. Let's check that off. Let's not make the height as big. All right. And let's also angle this plane. Awesome. So something like this. Then let's move our emitter up here, and I think we are good. So let's go and create an emitter. So let's go up here, create a mesh emitter. Let's put in our disk into the geometry slot under the emission. Let's change the rate to 15,000. Let's change the speed to 2 centimeters. And that is it for now. So now it's just looking like this, a bit boring. So let's go and make some modifiers. And let's start off with just making a gravity. Let's set it to 300. And let's also make a collide over here. And let's put a collide tag on our landscape, just like this. Let's set the friction to 0. Let's set the bounce to 1. Let's click collider side to both. And let's go up here to our collide. Let's set the bounce to 25. And let's set the contact on both. And let's set the radius to 2. Awesome. So now we have some particles that are colliding with our landscape. So let's go and make this a little bit better by making a flock. And inside of this flock, I'm just going to set my maximum speed to 100 centimeters. Then I'll set the cohesion strength to 50. I'll set the cohesion radius to 10. Then I'll set the separation to 15. Awesome. Let's see if this works. All right, something is definitely happening here. That is awesome. So let's go and set the separation radius to 2. Cool. And let's set the strength, overall strength, 2.5. I think that is good for now. So let's go up here and make a friction. In this friction, I'm just gonna set the strength to 55. And let's see what happens here. All right, so they're still going through our landscape and it's a bit weird. So right now, these particle setups are a bit glitchy. So if I move my collide down here, I think it's gonna work pretty well. And as you can see, nothing is going through the landscape, which is pretty weird. So yeah, that's just a thing to keep in mind. These are gonna be stacked in the right order. So now we have this little thing here. And I'm actually going to go here to our flock and I'm going to set it to 50 just to try that out. And as you can see, it's a bit more slow. And this is really what we need for this effect. So I'm just going to make some more frames, like 300. And then I'm going to go here to my gravity. And I'm actually just going to angle the gravity to something like minus 40 over here. Awesome. And then let's see what happens. So yeah, we have some gravity and it is a bit shaky right now. All right, so a thing that we can do to fix this is that we can go to our project settings, our simulation settings, go under our particles, and we could set the substeps to 9. And as you can see, we have a so much better look. There's nothing jumping around anymore, and it's so much more smooth. So yeah, I feel like we could have a little bit more height on this actually. So I'm just going to go in here to my flock and I'm going to set this separation scale to 3. And let's see what happens now. Oh yeah, so you can see now we have this really thick like sludge that is traveling down. And maybe we should just set it to 2.5 as it was in the beginning. So yeah, I think this is so much better because then you can really see the detail. So now we're going to mesh this and let's just put our particle group inside of a volume builder. And let's go and set particle radius here to 2. And let's also set our voxel size to 1.5. Let's go up here and let's switch to quick shading mode so we can see what is happening. And there we go. We have some particles here. And then I'm just going to go in here, make a smooth. And I think I'm just going to set it to 1 voxel because then we still keep some of the form here. Yeah, that's looking super nice. Okay, good. Then let's make a volume measure. So now we have this mesh here, but if we put any textures on it right now, it won't look that good because we don't have any UVs on it. So how do we create UVs in Cinema? You can't really use any UV editing tags or anything like that on a volume builder because if we open up our dope sheet here, so as you can see, if we simulate it and I just click through, you can see all of the frames have a different kind of UV and it's really not looking that good and it's changing the poly count every single frame. So I'm going to show you how to make these UV coordinates. Let's turn off our volume builder and volume measure. Let's go and make a shader field. Let's make a gradient here. Inside of this gradient, I'm just going to make both of the points to linear. And then I'm going to go and take the white here and I'm going to make it green, just like this. Then I'm going to copy my shader field and I'm going to go in here and make it red. Something like this. Then I'm also going to make the red into a 2D V shape. So we have this shader field and this shader field. Then I'm going to go to my disk and I'm going to go here to other tags, vertex color. I'm going to pull in both of my shader fields and the top one I'm just going to set to add. So as you can see here, we have a UV map now. And it's maybe a little bit easier to understand if I put this on a plane like this, a square plane. So you can see we have a UV texture that tells us the U and the Y direction. So now that we have this UV 2D map on our disk, we can go to basics and we can change it to vertex UV. So now we need to transfer the UV on disk to our particles. And there's a really, really easy way to do that. We're just going to go into our mesh emitter and we're going to pull in our vertex UV into our color map here. And as you can see, when we play it, we have colors on our particles. And they're kind of moving in the right direction. So the next thing we need to do is turn on our volume builder setup again here. And you can see it's still gray. We can go to our volume builder here, make another vertex color. Then we can pull in our particle group here. You can see we have all of these small splotches from our particles that are transferring to our mesh here. And if you just ran this through, it wouldn't look good at all. So we need to go down here to the mode, change it to average, and then we have an average of all of the colors, which is pretty nice. So how do you actually make a material with it? Well, you can go up here, make a new material, and let's go inside of it. Let's search for a vertex attribute here. Let's go and take this vertex color we have. And let's also go and search for a UV projection. Let's put that into our color, just standard. And let's take our color out, put it into UV remap here, and let's put it to the offset. Inside of our UV projection, we're gonna set it to ball, and we're gonna set the coordinate space to object. And for this step, it's a bit of experimenting with the different types of projections, what looks good in your render and in your setup, because some of them you can see the seams between the tiles, and in other ones you can't see it. And it also depends on the texture. So it's not just push one button and then you have UVs. You have to tinker around with it a little bit, and then you can get some really nice results. I'll just go here and I will take a texture that I've saved, something like this over here, and I'll just put it into the color. And let's put our material on our volume builder and let's press play. So I don't think you can see it in this view, but if we go and open up our render view here, you can definitely see it in that. And in this view over here in our render view, let's see if it updates. I'm also just going to render out a quick preview for you guys. So as you probably can see, we have some stretching textures over here. And one thing you can also go in here do is that you can put this into the remap scale. And for some things, the remap scale is a bit better than just the offset. And I'm actually going to use it for this effect, I think. Just going to go here to my texture and put it down in size just a little bit. Yeah, I think that should be good. Okay, so I just rendered out this sequence here. And as you can see, we have some UVs that are sticking. And yeah, it's looking pretty nice. We have a little bit of some weird stuff going on here where the UVs are not really changing. And we also have this like wavy effect on the UVs, but all of these things can be changed. So the wave effect is in here. It's the particle group. And as you can see, I also changed the radius of the average here. So if you change it higher, it's going to blur it out even more. So you'll get less waviness, but you'll also get less accuracy. So that's something to keep in mind. Then inside of your projection, you can also see I changed the scale here. And sometimes if you make like an odd scale to it, it tracks better. And for this one, I would say if I was just doing close up of the front and maybe of the beginning here, it would work for me. But yeah, it's still a technique where you need to find out the best settings for the shot you're doing. And that is the case with every single liquid UV technique. So if you do it in Houdini, you need to spend time on making your UVs look really good. So that's the same case here. And yeah, it's just playing around with it. Sometimes planar works super, super nice. It's really up to what you find works best for your shot and for your project. So that was it for this video. I really hoped you liked it. And as you can also see, it's a bit fiddly, but when you get it correct, it can work super, super nicely. If you like this video, then please go down, subscribe, so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And you can also give it a like. That helps me out a lot. In the next couple of months, I'm going to post some more cinema and Houdini tutorials, so definitely stay tuned for that. But until then, I just have one thing to say. Go out there, make some awesome, awesome renders, and I'll see you back here on the channel for some more cinema and Houdini magic. Goodbye.